December a year ago. I guess it was the early part of December. And Dawn and I had only been in the area around 5 months. And I think it was a Friday evening. We received a call from Bill and Carol Ramsey. Bill and Carol are members up at Pleasant Hill United Methodist Church, which I also pastor. And they extended an invitation to us to go up to Ogilvie to see the lights. And not being from the area, we had never driven up to Ogilvie to see the lights. So we took them up on that invitation, drove up to the Pleasant Hill Church, parked in the parking lot, they picked us up. Rode over to Ogilvie, toured the lights. They were absolutely gorgeous. Dawn absolutely loved it, but I was tired. And I thought, we're going home now. We drove up on top of the hill. Someone could tell me where we were at. There's a mansion up there. There's a place where you can walk over. There's an amphitheater down over the hill. Some of you who are familiar with Ogilvie know where I'm talking about. And we pulled in, and there was flower gardens full of Christmas lights and all of this. And you have to know that Carol Ramsey and I pick on each other all the time. And I said, we pulled in, and I said, what are we going to do now? I was really sleepy. She said, we're going to get out and go see the baby Jesus. I said, I've seen the baby Jesus. I said, I've seen the baby Jesus lots of times. So I don't need to get out and go see the baby Jesus. You guys go ahead and see the baby Jesus. I'll wait right here in the car. Needless to say, she shamed me into getting out of the car to go see baby Jesus at the nativity scene up there behind glass. You know, I'm glad I went to see the baby Jesus. You know why? Folks are stealing baby Jesus this year. You don't think so? Just look at the intelligence from this past Wednesday. On the regional page, the headline is Baby Jesus Goes Missing from Nativities. Seems like 3 nativity scenes in Brownsville had their baby Jesuses stolen. But that's not an unusual thing. There are lots of empty mangers all around the country. You don't think so? Just do a Google search on stolen baby Jesus and see how many articles come up. Stolen baby Jesus. It just seems like Jesus is disappearing from mangers. I checked out here this morning just to make sure our baby Jesus was in the nativity. He was. I was happy. I checked earlier in the week when I was up at Pleasant Hill. Baby Jesus, at least earlier in the week, was still in the nativity up at Pleasant Hill, the outside nativity. You know, there's a lot of stories from disappointed churches when you do that Google search. And, you know, there's some folks who steal the baby as a prank, dumping him at some unexpected place in town. I read an article where one woman even bragged on Facebook about stealing the baby Jesus. One of her friends turned her in. Of course, there are others who steal baby Jesus out of anger against Christianity. You know, there are plenty of people, folks, who want to remove Jesus from the public eye. And stealing a plastic baby is symbolic of getting rid of him before he and his followers can cause more trouble. But regardless of whether it is out of stupidity or out of anti-Christian vandalism, little baby Jesuses are disappearing at an alarming rate. Folks are taking them. And now, no one likes to have things stolen, and theft is certainly wrong. But the theological question that we want to ask about is, which is worse? Stealing baby Jesus, or just leaving him alone, secure in the manger? Which is worse? We all know the story. David just read it for us. We all know the story of Mary and Joseph, and no room in the inn, and a baby born, and shepherds and angels, and we know it well. Or at least we think we do. We come to church on Christmas Eve expecting to see Jesus in the manger. And we're happy about that. Who doesn't love babies? We love babies here at Glendale Church. We just absolutely love babies here. And who doesn't love this scene? Why would anyone want to wreck Christmas Eve by stealing him away? Why would they want to do something like that? But you know what? The truth of the story is, and what we often miss, is that there were people who wanted to steal the real baby. The real baby Jesus, right after he was born. The Gospels make it clear for us that the arrival of the baby, while a joy for many, was a threat to many more. Matthew's Gospel tells the story of Herod the Great, who was so threatened by the possibility of a rival for his throne that he ordered all the babies in Bethlehem under 2 years old to be taken from their cribs and killed. There were a lot of empty mangers and cribs here in Bethlehem. Call them what you will. But they may be those who want to eliminate Jesus from the public view out of anti-Christian angst actually get the story of Christmas better than most of us, because they know what Herod knew. This baby is dangerous. This baby is dangerous, folks. This is the real backstory of Christmas, or as Ellsworth Cowles, the Christian author, might call it, Christmas from the backside. The child who was born in the Christmas card manger scene will grow up to be a threat to the status quo, a threat to those who wield power through force of arms or force of bank account or force of political position. He will expose the inner thoughts of human hearts. My goodness, I hope no one ever knows. And he'll call people to a way of living beyond themselves. He will talk about a God who is intimately involved in the public, in politics, and with people, rather than a God who is merely private, quiet, and spiritual. Folks, Jesus will preach about a kingdom that has nothing to do with power, wealth, and military might, but everything to do with servanthood, sacrifice, and suffering. Indeed, he'll act as though that kingdom was already becoming a reality. He'll spend time eating and associating with people on the margins of society, the sick, the poor, the outcast, the prostitute, the tax collector, while rebuking the religious, the elite, and the insiders. He'll challenge the powers of sin and death by taking them on directly all the way to the cross. Here's why he's so dangerous to so many people. You can't defeat someone who wants nothing from this world, who practices what he preaches, and who is willing to die while forgiving his tormentors. You can't defeat someone like that. You can't take enough away from them to defeat them because they don't want anything of this world to begin with. That's why it's dangerous. Such a person is dangerous to the status quo and must be removed. Interestingly, the world seems to get this, but many Christians don't. We want Jesus to stay right where he is, right in the manger. That's where we want him. Right there, we'll keep an eye on him. We want Jesus, a Jesus who stays within our own set of doctrinal boundaries, a Jesus whom we can keep privately and quietly on display at church while we ignore him the rest of the week. We want a Jesus who matches our expectations and who blesses our political agendas. A personal Jesus who orbits around us, our purposes and our desires. We want a baby Jesus we can admire rather than a living and active Jesus who cares less about our religious expectations than he does about the world's redemption. The truth is that while some people might be stealing Jesus, we who claim him must actually go a step further and let him run loose in our lives. The manger-born baby, God's Word made flesh, came to change us and the world along with it. God's goodness and God's love is poured out to us in Jesus. And when that love runs loose in us, then it will find its way outward in good works toward others. We receive a gift and we pass it on. We don't hold on to Jesus. We share him with the world. There are many out there, like Herod, who do not know love, but only power. Like Jesus, we're to love them anyway, even when they try to steal our joy. So here's the real deal. Jesus doesn't need to be protected. Heck, down at the Baptist church in Moundsville, when they stole him from the manger down there, they had him wired in it. Someone had to untwist the wire and take wire cutters to get it out of it. Jesus doesn't need to be protected or guarded or defended. He wants to be followed. And if we follow him, he'll take us out among those who need the gift of his love the most. The people who have struggling plots and bars. People who clamor for attention. People who are angry at the world and angry at God. People who are broken and have no happy in their holidays. See, it's a love that's dangerous because it calls us to risk ourselves in service to the world. But that's where Jesus' love goes anyway, toward those who have none. The prophet Isaiah was right. A little child shall lead it. One who was born not only to be admired in a manger, but to be wonderful counselor, mighty God, everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. We follow Jesus biblically. At least some of us do. We follow Jesus biblically, prayerfully, and joyfully in order to see where he wants to lead us. Christ is a gift. He doesn't belong to us. And you can't steal him from us. He's a gift that's to be shared away from the manger. You can't steal Jesus from me on Christmas. And I hope Jesus can't be stolen from you on Christmas as well. Because you see, he doesn't live in the manger.